Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So today I just wanted to sit down and play with some new products that I've been collecting recently, so it seemed like the perfect opportunity to do another product play video. As always, product plays are more focused on the products I'm using instead of creating a fancy look. So this look is just my current go-to, which a few of you have actually been wanting to see anyway, so hopefully this helps you out. So I'm going to be using a few products from the Alice in Blooming collection by Beyond, and the first one is this skin tone sun base. I don't actually leave the house or see the sun very often, so instead of using this as a sun protection, I used it more like a base, since it does leave a pretty smooth but slightly tacky finish. It kind of worked out as a primer since anything I applied on top had that nice, slightly tacky base to stick to. Next, I'm applying the Soap & Glory Kick-Ass All Is Calm Concealer, which is a green concealer. I actually talk about this in my favourites video, which at the time of recording this voiceover, I don't know if I've actually uploaded that yet. If I have, sorry if I'm repeating myself. So I didn't actually realise how red my skin was until I started wearing BB creams recently and lower coverage products. And you can totally see it through BB creams and stuff. I'm so used to wearing high coverage foundations that I never knew how much redness I had in my skin. I've only been using it for a couple of weeks, but I'm definitely going to repurchase it. It's very quickly just become a staple product for me. As you can see, it's very quick to apply. You just whack it on and blend it out with your fingers. And it doesn't negatively affect anything you apply on top of it. If anything, it just kind of improves the product you apply on top of it because it just acts as something for that product to stick to. Next, I'm applying the Tarte CC Under Eye Corrector. Nothing new here, I use this all the time. I just love it and I don't know how to do makeup without it anymore, to be honest. Next, I'm going to be trying out a cushion for the first time, and this one is again from the brand Beyond, which is actually a Korean brand. I don't think I mentioned that before. So I'm super interested in Korean beauty, and cushions have been a thing over there forever, and I've always wanted to try one, but since obviously Korean brands aren't really sold here, I could never see one in person, and I never wanted to just buy one online and then it'd be a waste of money if the shades weren't right for my skin. But this guy, the shade 02 Natural Beige, actually turned out to be a really nice fit for my skin. So I'd say that this cushion had light coverage, it was very hydrating, and it had a dewy finish. So I probably wouldn't recommend this if you have oily skin. I think it would probably be too much and it would fade very quickly. This is what it looked like on me after around 6 hours or so. Obviously it's faded along with the rest of my face makeup, but it's faded evenly. It's not bad. I'm gonna let you know how I get on with this in another video, I guess, after I've used it a bit more. Moving on to concealer, I'm using the Klairs Creamy and Natural Fit Concealer. Again, I talk about this in my faves video. I've used it for a couple of weeks now, and it's a bit of a change from the usual thick, high coverage concealers I usually use, but it's a nice change. You can blend it out with your fingers and it just becomes a part of your skin, and because it's not a super thick formula, the creasing is very minimal if you set it with a powder. It's not as noticeable as something like MAC Pro Longwear or whatever, you know, like the very thick ones, which you can't avoid them creasing. Even if they have magical creaseless properties, they're gonna crease. Every concealer creases. We have creases in our skin. That's fine, that's normal, but I've noticed with this one, because it's not as thick, it's not as noticeable. Here I'm just powdering. I'm not mattifying my whole face, just certain areas, like areas that are gonna crease, like creasy forehead and smile lines and stuff underneath the eyes, around the nostrils, because they get greasy. I know I like to look very oily nowadays, but I don't know, I'm not into the nostril grease. Next, I'm going to add some warmth and some shape back into the face, since now my face is all one colour and looks like the moon. So I'm just using my usual Tarte Sculptor and picking it up on a kabuki brush and then just buffing that in. I'm just kind of doing the outside areas of the face, and I also bring that up onto my nose slightly as well. And I think I contoured my nose off camera as well. It's the same as usual, I'm just using the shade Naked 2 from the Naked Basics palette. For blush, I'm using a new product from Illamasqua. This is one of their new sketch sticks, which is a multi-use crayon. You can basically use it as anything you want: a liner, eyeshadow, a base for your eyeshadow, blush, anything. It's magical. This looks so intense right now, by the way, but it all pulls together by the end. Usually when I've got my eyebrows on and my eye makeup, it doesn't seem so crazy. Next, I'm moving on to highlighter, and I think I've used this product before on here, but this is the Illamasqua Beyond powder in OMG. It's very glowy, it's very pretty, and it's the only highlighter I've been reaching for recently. And I've actually been wearing it as an eyeshadow as well, which I'm gonna do today. So I went ahead and I did my eyebrows off camera because I do them like 2 centimeters away from the mirror and it's always really awkward to film. But I did want to try out a new brow gel. So here I'm using the Soap & Glory Archery Volume Boost Brow Fiber Gel. This reminded me a lot of the Benefit Gimme Brow. It's the same kind of thing. It gives you like an extra kick to your brows and then sets them in place like cement. It's a very crispy product. You can definitely like feel your eyebrows when you have it on, which I don't mind. Moving on to the eyes, I'm first applying a primer, and then I'm going to be using some shades from a couple of the new Ciate palettes. I didn't use very exciting colours because in my day-to-day life I generally don't. I just like brown, and more brown. It's like 50 shades of beige. But I will post swatches of all of these palettes on my blog, but here are some random swatches and some of the more exciting colours, so you can get an idea of the pigmentation and whatnot. So I apply a flat cream shade all over the lid, right up to the brow to begin with, and then I use a soft brown shade roughly through the socket. It's a bit warmer than what I've been wearing recently, but it does the job. You can see I also buffed that onto the lid space as well. Then I took that cream eyeshadow again and I just went around the edges just to blend them out seamlessly into my skin. I also went ahead and added some of that Illamasqua Beyond powder onto the lid as well, and underneath the brow as a highlight too. Moving on to liner, my Tarte Clay Pot is finally starting to dry up. I've had this guy for a while now and it was starting to get really difficult to apply. It was very chunky and it just would not do anything I wanted it to. So I figured if I mixed it with a bit of cream makeup remover on the back of my hand, it would like thin it out a bit and make it usable again, and it did, it works. I tried to do it on the back of my hand instead of putting liquids inside the pot itself because I don't want it to be like a breeding ground for germs. It would be a lot easier if I could just mix it all into the pot, but I don't know how hygienic that would be. So for the shape of the liner this time, I created the line across the lid just at like a medium thickness, and then to make the wing, instead of continuing outwards from the top like you usually would, I start underneath my eye instead because then it's easier to angle it however you want. So if you want to bring it out, it's just easier to go from the bottom than the top. Also, I'm going to be adding some smoky eyeshadow in that area underneath the wing, so it's going to be a nice dark base to put eyeshadow on top of. So next I applied dark brown eyeshadow underneath the wing, and then I started to drag that across underneath the eye. I do realise that this look is very under eye heavy, so if that's not your thing, you can kind of tone this down a bit. But for me, most of the focus is going to be in that outer area underneath the wing. If you want the colour to be deeper than this as well, you can also add a bit of black in there too. I also went ahead and took the colour that I used through the socket underneath the eye as well. Kind of starting in the center and then bringing it towards the inner corner, and then finally I added that Illamasqua powder in the inner corner as well. So basically we're just going from dark to light. So I've been using the Bobbi Brown Eye Opening Mascara recently, and I guess it's good. It's a very deep black, it holds the lash as well. You have a nice chunky wand to apply it with, it's very buildable. But generally I don't really draw attention to what mascara I'm using because I only use them because I have them. I would never buy these fancy ass mascaras for myself. I feel like there are plenty of drugstore ones that are just as good, but I know that some of you had noticed recently through my blog posts, my product lists and things, that I'd been using this one and a few of you were curious, so there you go. Is it good? Very good. Would I spend 23 quid on it? Probably not. So finally, moving on to the lips, I wanted to try this Soap & Glory Sexy Mother Pucker XL Extreme Plump lip gloss thing. First thing I noticed was how weird this smelled. It was like an artificial chocolate scent. I'm a huge chocolate fan, but this smell almost made me gag, so heads up if you don't like that kind of scent. I don't really think this product does much in terms of plumping, but it does make your lips look and feel nice and hydrated, and I can imagine it does plump your lips up in the same way that adding any kind of moisture to your lips does. Like, I notice a difference in the morning when I've slept with a lip balm on versus when I don't. They look much fuller when I do. So I don't think this is a miracle product. From reading reviews, people want to like it because it feels like it's doing something. It's very tingly. So I waited for a little bit to see if there was any change, and there wasn't really, so I just went ahead and removed that. Then I applied this lipstick from, again, the Alice in Blooming collection from Beyond. I fell in love with this lipstick right away. It kept my lips feeling nice and hydrated, and it faded nicely. I don't mind when a product fades, because obviously it's not going to last forever. I just mind how it fades. If it fades gracefully and it still looks nice, then that's fine, that's all you can ask for, right? It's a nice little formula. It's not super pigmented, it just gives you a nice kind of soft colour. They blend together nicely if you wanted to do the typical kind of Korean style ombre lip, which I did here. I mixed a bit of the pink in there, but then that's it. I hope you found this useful and maybe found something new to try out. Let me know what products you've been using recently. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye.